Welcome to the Saturday Night Live Afterparty. This week, we'll be discussing Season 47, Episode 6 of SNL with host Simu Liu and musical guest Saweetie. I'm Catherine Coleman, and I'm joined this week by podcast staple Steve Finn. If you'd like to connect with us, you can do so at snlpodcast.com. Enjoy these selected highlights from this week's discussion. And if you'd like to watch our full-length, ad-free sketch-by-sketch review, you can find it exclusively at patreon.com/snlpodcast. It's our supporters that make this show possible, and we are so thankful to everyone who's already come on board. All right, here we go. So this week, yet another first-time host. We got some cameos. We got plenty of Thanksgiving content. I'm excited to break it all down with you, Steve. Thanks for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm looking forward to a one-on-one Friendsgiving with you, Catherine.
Yeah. Yes, I planned this strategically. I missed our little chats. You know, I thought let's just have Steve on. Let's get some quality time in with my good pal Steve Finn.
Why don't we catch up over some SNL chat? You know,
right. And speaking of catching up, I'm not familiar with this man at all, Simu. But I'm told you are. So you're a big fan of his, yes?
I'm a fan of his. I've been familiar with him ever since he was a up and comer on the Kim's Convenience show on CBC, Netflix as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing to see him get this job on a big Marvel movie. You know, he was pretty much an overnight celeb in the making, and it's really great. You know, as a Canadian, it's nice to see another fellow Canuck, you know, entering in the big realm. You know, I'm not afraid to say it. I'm a big Marvel fan. I go to the man park and I bark Marvel at the other men. You know, like this is my jam. And I gotta say, Shang-Chi was a good film.
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, I was afraid it would be like another generic Marvel film. You know, they do play it safe, but this one just had such great fights, choreography, and Simu Liu was amazing in it. So check it out. Even if you're not a Marvel fan, you might like this one at least.
All right. Well, if we're ready, let's jump on in. It's not really music. It's not really comedy. Welcome to Karaoke All-Stars. I loved so much about this. I loved the karaoke tropes. They nailed each one with like really good key observations, performances to die for. Very creative way to get a Marge and Homer Simpson impression in. The father-daughter My Pony Will Haunt My Dreams Forever. All of that is so great, but I do have like a few nitpicky things that bothered me. So, like, first of all, Cecily is the perfect capper for this. Like, that observation is so astute. And obviously, like, Cecily can't actually sing. I would have loved to just see her play the sketch off. Like, we like seeing Cecily sing. I think that would have felt a little stronger. And then, like, Keenan's host character, I don't know. I think I would have liked to see him be a little bit more like a pea in the pod with Chloe. It was sort of I don't know, the dynamic seemed a little weird to me there. So, like, I felt like that we could have had more fun going back to them if they were playing off each other a little more, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, so, like, and then the framing device is a little unusual, but I get it. It's really hard. I don't know how else you would sort of get all of these people in and out. But yeah, I think there's so much good stuff here, and it's a really good idea. There's just like a couple very small things that I'm like, oh, it just could have been that much better. And it would have been a home run. But as it was still a win. I really liked it. Did you?
Yeah. You know, it's a fun little cabaret of little quirks and jabs. You know, you spend too much time at a bar and you know, You may not be so proud of finding these tropes familiar, but I think it's unavoidable, really. Uh, yeah, I think I'm gonna give my attention to Ego. For some reason, I've had a lot of fun with her drunk, overpronounced singing. For some reason, that tickled me really funny, and that's probably my favorite of the vignettes.
Mhm.
Yeah, wasn't expecting a Margin Homer impression, but
Oh.
it was nice to throw in there, I guess. And yeah, it was a weird thing to grasp. But I think I get what you're saying about like the hosts kind of having a disconnect, and I know visually it kind of put me off a little bit to have Chloe holding a microphone and Keenan not.
Right.
I know she was doing some singing and stuff, but they just felt like they were hosting two different shows.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I think it messed with me more than I care to admit because it's a little thing, but yeah, just
Right.
one person holding a microphone, one not. Yet they're supposed to be like co-hosts of this.
It made me feel like he was just gonna be there to be like, "Hey, don't drop the mic. This equipment's rented," and then leave.
Yeah,
But then he stayed the whole
yeah,
time.
right. Whatever. I mean, she had the microphone because she sang us in and she sang us out.
Sure.
That's that's the only reason I can figure out for that. But yeah, nitpicky things.
Yeah,
I
like
had
if
fun
this
with it
is the
overall.
biggest thing we can find fault with, it's a good sketch, right? Like
Sure.
yeah, so like uh some things to complain about if we must. But overall, pretty strong sketch, pretty big win, lots of fun to be had with it.
Yes. It's got a good energy for a first sketch.
All right, well let's keep going. The DoD has made the ultimate soldier, Doghead Man. Steve, were you happy to see this sketch recur? We've seen it before. How are you feeling?
Oh, sure. It's it's just a hilarious risk that's never going to go 100% right,
Right.
and that's the beauty of this. At this point, to expect this to say, I hope nothing goes wrong with the dog this time. I hope he keeps his head where he should.
Of course he doesn't.
That's you're gonna lose your hair if you're preying on things like that to happen. So yeah, but we don't want that, do we? We want to see the dog screw up, and we want to see how they try to keep the sketch on the rails
Mhm.
while most of the sandwich is on the floor, and that's where the dog wants to be.
Right. He's exploring his body.
He's exploring his body, and that's a great example of how they prepared.
Mhm.
I feel like they're learning, what they have to have, as uh, maybe written on that clipboard of his, like lines to use if things go
Yeah.
wrong. Like you can't really plan for when that dog is going to do what he does, but you can write a line and say, "Oh, he's just inspecting himself."
Right. Yeah, you can have
That
some
may have been
alts
ad lib,
available.
yeah, but I could just see that they've made room uh, for these things to happen, and then to have an actual reaction to it.
Mhm.
Because that's something that can like make these sketches awkward. Is that when they're trying to say lines that don't really match up with
Right.
what's happening anymore.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, uh, Cecily was kind of over concerned. It was great. Like whenever they cut away, you see Cecily like looking over, like, "Ooh, I hope they fix it. I hope they fix it." Like you could tell when the dog was not doing
Mhm.
what he was supposed to be doing, even when he was off camera, because Cecily was just like
Right.
trying to pay attention to James.
Yeah.
And yeah, so all that chaotic energy is there, and that's what I do. That's why I sign up for sketches like this, to get that. And there it is.
Mhm. Alright, so you were a little happier to go along with it than I was.
Sure.
I liked the original one in season 43. I don't know that it I mean, I can see what you're saying. They learned from it, like, and I get the notion of like when something goes really well, you want to do it again. Like as a writer, I'm like, yeah, let's do that sketch again. I think I can make it better this time. Um, but I don't know. Some of the things that made the original so fun were lost here because the first one kind of allowed the dog to be goofy. Like if you remember, like it was like waving and doing like finger guns and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's really fun. But in this one, it's like assembling a gun, So
Yeah.
I guess you could say that like being more serious and doing more legitimate tasks is like a juxtaposition, and that is more heightened. But like for me personally, the sketch just sort of lived in that goofiness, and so to have to lose that a little bit with like the dog not being able to like be as goofy, um, made it work a little less for me. So like I liked seeing the dog, uh, but the sketch was just a little bit more middle of the road. But then like I have a friend in town who had never seen the original one, and she really liked it. So like I get why they do this, right? Because most people don't watch every single episode or remember sketches from 20 years ago. Um, so like it was fun for that. So I can't fault them too much for me saying like I've seen this before. But yeah, it was fine. It was middle of the road
Fair enough.
for me. All right, so a little bit more mixed reviews there. Let's keep going. Up next, the first ever SNL sketch about being the first ever Chinese person to do things. This was so fun. I loved this one. It's always really nice to see them write something that is so specifically for the host they have. Like this wasn't, something they had in their back pocket. Like it was, or like something recycled from a different week. It was like this one was written for this host. It plays to his strengths. It's about him. Like that's really fun to see. So I always get excited when it's like very clear that that's what's happening here. And I just think this is such a funny way to go about it too. I thought um obviously it's like good commentary on just this phenomenon of like, oh, they're the first this and the first that. And like it is important to recognize like that like diversity and the progress being made there. But like it also like I can see how like it's maybe like, well, this is a little too specific, right? Like uh, so yeah, I thought it heightened really well, with the things that they were being rewarded for getting more ridiculous. So like, like the first ever Asian Marvel superhero is a big deal. The first ever Asian man to do You Pick Two at Panera, not a big deal, but it's treated like the bigger deal of the two, right? So yeah, that was really fun. They made it active with like the ceremony beats, and a perfect blackout line of Bowen saying, "But I'll always be gay." Everything about this was wonderful. I have zero complaints about it. Where are you gonna land?
I'm landing very strongly on this is
Good.
amazing. Yeah, if you just if you have a landing strip that says amazing, that's where I'm gonna aim. Because this is what this was. And I love Bowen. Bowen is an amazing man. So just seeing him get to have this sketch of his own with the host is great. You're in good hands when you see Bowen leading the charge. This is no exception. Everything you said is right. All of that is great. What I loved about this is how they were trying to sell the fact that they didn't really care about it. That's what I loved. And it really made it so much more effective that they went through the trouble to get all that coverage of every situation, like all the different award shows, the Panera checkout. Like that was all, extra setups. And you could probably make this work without all those cutaways. But just the fact that they have all of those, it's show don't tell, and
It
that's
would have been
that's a
much
big
less
thing.
fun without those.
Yes, yeah. So I think that's what really sold it is the way that they're trying to stay humble, but they're like in reality super jazzed about being the first Asian to finish Diablo 2 or whatever the video game was.
I think it was like StarCraft 2, maybe.
StarCraft 2, yeah. That was great. And the ending was great. Like it's like flipped on its head and turned into like a horror movie at the end. And that was a great way to just cap it off because it was just a whirlwind. So how do you like stop that momentum and put an end on it? You put in some ominous music and you
The
put
Shining-esque picture.
a
Yeah.
menacing stare on Bowen. Yes, and you got a great way to end a sketch there.
And I just
Climax.
also just as a quick shout out to a couple of my favorite lines. I love like you have abs and I have ibs. IBS. I also loved like you're the first openly bottom man on that list. He's like, I'm not open about that.
Who told you?
Yeah,
I just guessed.
That's hilarious. Yeah, and it was edited, like you said, so fast. Really great. Really great. If you want to see our full sketch by sketch review, search for SNL Afterparty on Patreon or subscribestar.com. Let's talk about our overall thoughts and feelings. Steve, what is your moment of the night?
Moment of the night. This one was tough, actually, because there were so many good moments. Like I said, we had 80 saying her lava is her diarrhea. That's a moment. Mark Cohn breaking the fourth wall. That's a moment. Heidi getting puked on.
Mm-hmm.
That's always going to be a moment. But out of a series of great moments, how do you choose a king moment? I don't know. You just got to go with your gut. And my gut was in a stitch when 80 dropped that line. So I'm going to go with lava diarrhea.
Fair
lava
enough.
diarrhea got me. It was worth the rewatch.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm a little torn between two, but they're both in the kind of Bowen versus Simu line sketch. One is that line I already mentioned, like you have abs, I have ibs. But I think what I'm gonna give it to is we're like the Spider-Man meme. That's just like so silly and got like a nice hearty laugh out of me both times I watched it just to see them do the little pose. And that's like sort of memeable in and of itself. So I think that's a really solid moment.
We should do one ourselves. If I turn this way,
Wait, which way do I
point at you?
This way?
You turn the other way.
Woo!
Here we go. We did it.
So for all of our audio listeners,
right
tune in to the video version, baby, to see what in the hell we're talking about. We do.
We gotta do more stuff that relies on
get
visuals.
Those YouTube people. Get those YouTube people in so they can smash that like button, subscribe, turn on your post notification, comment down below. All right. Well, on that note, let's talk about our best sketch. What are you gonna give it to?
Best sketch. Let's give it to the Asian off. That's what I'm calling it. It was a great sketch, really well paced, really funny, and yeah, it was like you said, it was a sketch that's very appropriate for the host. Like I don't think Kim Kardashian could pull this one off quite as well, but I just love this sketch a lot, and I'll probably keep this one in my back pocket whenever like I'm hanging out with some friends. I'm like, hey, you want to see something funny? This would be a great one.
Yeah. We talked a little last week about sort of a really good meter for what defines your best sketches, rewatchability and shareability. So, the one that I'm gonna send to my friends, or the one I'm gonna keep in my head to show my friends, like that's a big deal. It's not all, you don't always have one that you're like, oh yes, I must send this to 3 friends. But I thought, like you said, the Bowen versus Simu thing was that was it. That's the one that I will pull out as a party trick. And it was just so fun, so goofy. It was for the host. I thought it was edited really well. Just a really good time. Honorable mention to that 911 call. That was definitely my runner up. But I think the Bowen one was just a little bit, I don't know, a little bit snappier. So that's it. All right. Well, let's talk about our MVP. Who are you gonna give it to?
This is tough. There's it's
Mhm.
it could easily be a Keenan night. It could be an Ego night. I'm feeling Ego. I'm feeling Keenan.
Yeah.
Uh, but everybody was great. Look at Cecily. Look at even Chloe was great. I think we saw, geez, so much. I feel like I just want to give it to Lauren Michaels for just being awesome and bringing us a great show.
I don't think he's eligible for MVP.
Okay, I'll give it to. I'm going to give it to Keenan because Keenan uh,
Mhm.
had some amazing line delivery, and I don't know. It was the moment when he popped up in the 10-1
Yeah.
sketch that one just really clicked for me because I mean I'm already having so much fun, and you haven't even shown me Keenan yet. Like that's a great feeling to have, and then to get to Keenan, I guess that sketch was going so well. I was very very welcoming of his part, and
Yeah.
it was great as always.
He,
Hell,
he he was very present in this one. He had big moments. And it works out because I'm going to give it to Ego, your honorable
yeah,
mention there. So I think Ego was in a lot of stuff, but also was fabulous in a lot of stuff. Like her scene stealing moment with her version of Smooth Operator in the karaoke sketch, uh, and then she really carried the 911 sketch, and also I thought she was doing great stuff in the Target ad too. So Echo's great. Echo's having a really good season too. So yeah, Echo it is. Let's talk about our rating on a scale of classic, great, decent, weak, or train wreck. How would you rate this episode?
my gut wants to say great, and part of me wants to take it down to a decent because of the some of the uh, more often tapped wells of comedy that were used. The funny marijuana sketch, the funny family dinner sketch. These are very familiar, and for that reason, I was thinking, oh, maybe it's a decent. But I found myself just not caring and thinking, I don't feel like I've seen this before. I didn't roll my eyes and say this again. So there's no reason not to give it a great. I would have to just be like a big sourpuss or a Debbie Downer, if you will. Cue the zoom in for me to do that.
Well, thank you so much for setting me up there because I'm going to say decent. I don't know. I thought there was a lot of stuff that was fine. A few things I really liked. Yeah, just a lot of recurring things. We saw the 60 seconds on the clock Trump gag 2 weeks ago. We we've seen Target ads before. We've seen Doghead Man. Um we Baby Yoda's a repeat, Baking Championship's a repeat. Um so yeah, I don't know. I think there was a lot of stuff for me as someone who watches this religiously every week where I was like wanting something a little fresher, I guess. But like I said, my friend who doesn't watch every week was having a good time. So, I don't know. I felt like um there could have been a little bit more of a mix of newer stuff in there, or maybe freshening up some of the repeats to be differentiate themselves a little bit. Um, so yeah, just a lot of stuff that was sort of middle of the road. I didn't love either of the update features, so um, it's just a decent for me. Sorry.
Fair enough. No, I
Well, thank you.
respect it. It's a yeah. See, I considered it, so it's not way
Fair
off
enough.
base. I don't think.
All right. So yeah, episode decent to great. I think Simu Liu did a good job with what he had. He seemed competent. He did. I don't know. He wasn't that present, but I'd be fine seeing him again. It was a good time. Um, and yeah, they're getting 3 weeks off now,
Yep.
so maybe we'll come back rested, refreshed, get some new stuff going. Getting those December shows. So
can't wait to see a nice, refreshed
Oh, yes.
cast.
They deserve all the naps.
a big break. So, yes, we
Absolutely.
could use a break too, right?
I'm
Yeah.
excited for my
We've earned
3
it.
weeks off. I have got a few things. I've got the team I'm directing at the Laugh Index Theater. We've got a show December 15th, I want to say. My Boogie Manja team, Wilburn, has a show 2 days after that on the 17th. Assuming I'm getting those dates right. I got a sketch I'm working on for my YouTube channel that I've still got to film. Got a lot of stuff in the works, so I need a little time off from this to get all that stuff done. But yeah,
Oh, this
is
is
good.
from heaven for you. Then this is why they
Mhm.
give breaks to the cast, so
Right, yes, they're
Catherine
like,
can make
look,
her
guys,
sketches.
we would love to go 6 weeks in a row, but we've heard Catherine over at the podcast just needs a break. So sorry, public.
That's it.
it. All
You know
right.
the secret
Well,
now.
Steve, thanks for being here. I enjoyed our little catch up session. So good to see you. And on that note, that is a wrap. Thanks to Steve Finn. And thanks as well to our most generous patrons, Sam Bowers, Neil Weinstein, Justin Gardner, Grace Kogan, and Brian Clark. If you're enjoying our show, please subscribe on YouTube or wherever better podcasts can be found. Your subscription helps us grow, and your support is greatly appreciated. We'll be back in 3 weeks when SNL returns with host and musical guest Billie Eilish. But until then, this has been episode number 148 of the Saturday Night Live Afterparty podcast. I'm Catherine Coleman. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.